China is hitting back today at President Trump's tariffs, announcing a 34% tariff on all U.S. goods.
Oh, it's a direct response to the president's own sweeping trade measures that were introduced on Thursday. And today we're going to take a look at what's happening to the U.S. stocks out there and the impact the tariffs have on you at places like the grocery store and beyond. Plus, what about retirement? We're talking with a local financial expert about what you might want to consider doing next.
We are on your side protecting your money in our big story today. Steep declines on Wall Street once again today as the Dow drops 2,100 points. The S&P 500 and the NASDAQ composite also dropped by 5.7% today. The markets are facing their worst crisis since the COVID crash. The drop in the stock market comes after China announced it will impose reciprocal 34% tariffs on all imports from the United States, and that starts April 10th. The country also added 11 American companies to its unreliable entity list, including drone manufacturers, and it put export controls on 16 American companies to prohibit the export of Chinese dual-use items. Trump in a Mar-a-Lago statement today telling Americans to be patient. On Air Force One, he acknowledged a revitalization of American manufacturing could take years.
How long will it take to get American manufacturing, to where you would like to see it?
They can build them fast, but they're still very big plants. So I'd always say it would take a year and a half to 2 years.
Economists are now wondering how far this trade war between the world's biggest economies will go and how that might reverberate across the globe.
Well, also happening today, Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell warning that inflation likely expected to pick up because of the new tariffs here. This means higher prices at the grocery store and things like appliances could stick around. Matt Gutman is on your side explaining how this could affect you.
Tonight, Americans are bracing after voters made it clear in November inflation and high prices were the top issue. Now they're fearful prices are going to get worse, not better, on everything from cars to clothes, electronics to groceries. And like millions of Americans, Susan Linder is retired and on a fixed income.
We're terrified, really. And it makes no sense. I mean, look at the stock market today. It makes no sense that these tariffs have gone into effect.
Those tariffs will mean higher costs at the supermarket on produce not grown here and on coffee, chocolate, and other items. Something else to look out for, seafood. The USDA says 80% of seafood consumed in the U.S. comes from high tariff countries, places like Vietnam, Indonesia, India, Canada, Chile, so that could rise. Tonight, analysts say these new tariffs could cost an average American family of four up to $7,200 extra a year. It was just 24 hours ago the president acknowledging he campaigned by talking about groceries.
It's such an old-fashioned term, but a beautiful term, groceries. It sort of says a bag with different things in it. Groceries went through the roof, and I campaigned on that.
For this father of three, it's not old-fashioned. It's a real concern with prices set to go higher. We're going to start feeling the pinch pretty soon, right?
We're feeling it now, you know. I go in there, I see the prices. I try to act like they don't exist, and I just try to work harder.
Almost every industry feeling the pinch. This appliance store in Norwood, Massachusetts hopes to absorb some of the costs.
If there are increases in price, you know, they'll see if the manufacturer can absorb some of them too. You know, really just to keep the cost down for the consumer.
And this Toyota dealership in Palm Beach, Florida, is trying to hold out too.
They would be able to absorb, sustain a period of time, you know, with these without really passing it along to consumers.
But at David Dion's furniture store in L.A., he says he'll have to pass on at least some of the costs to the consumer.
If you had to absorb more of the tariff and not pass it on to consumers, could you stay in business?
No, I would get out of business. There is no way I can absorb this kind of cost.
As Matt Gutman reporting, anxiety and fear over a bright financial future are also growing amongst millions of Americans planning for near retirement after the stocks dropped late last night. 13 Action News anchor Lee Conklin spoke with Mark Kerr of Village Wealth Management in Dundee about what these drops could mean for you.
People are freaking out today about their retirements, right? I mean, and that's sort of putting it lightly, right? I mean, so what would be your message to people who have, you know, a lot of money in the market or just have a 401k, maybe some IRAs? What would be your message today with all this going on?
First of all, we can sympathize, you know, and I would say The biggest thing is, and I know we sound like a broken record when we say stuff like this in our business, but it's the long-term perspective, and we have to maintain a long-term perspective. And so reacting to the market the way it responded today is usually very rarely ever a good way to go about trying to time the market, which we know that the smartest investors can't hardly time the market. So, but everybody's always got the new magic pill, you know, it seems like they want to sell you. But on the other hand, if you just stay disciplined and stay focused, and I would definitely encourage everyone to have some sort of disciplined plan in place, you know, whether you're still participating in a 401k, well, then you're disciplined by continue to contribute when the market's down like this. And so you're buying low, you know. So I know that's not what everyone wants to hear right now, but that's usually the best way to keep going is not respond and react.
Can we sustain more days like this? You know, 1,600 points, the Dow, under 1,000 for the NASDAQ. I mean, how many more days like this before things really hit the fan?
Yep. So if you go back and look at this is the worst day since COVID. You know, if we go back to COVID times, we've seen this before. If we go back to 2008, we've seen this before. So when you start to think of it in those terms, it's not as bad as it appears to be, but it definitely it shakes people up. There's no question about that. You know, and if my thing I would go back and stress right now is this is the time what we call them gut checks. You know, you get a good gut check when something like this happens and says, was I prepared for, was my plan solid enough to be prepared for something like this? And if the answer is, I don't know, or I'm still scared, call your advisor or get an appointment with an advisor or sit with somebody and say, man, I need to have a better plan.
And money top of mind for a lot of people right now, and tax day is right around the corner, but the IRS saying today that fewer Americans have actually filed their federal taxes at this point in the filing season when you compare it to last year. Also, more people have requested extensions already. That's according to private IRS numbers and the latest public data, that is. As of March 21st, the IRS had received nearly 1 million fewer tax returns than it had received during the same period last year. Experts say the drop by itself isn't necessarily a concern, but this year's drop comes amid concerns about possible declines in revenue collection.
You could have some extra money laying around. Currently, more than $4.8 billion is waiting to be claimed by Ohioans. In 2024, more than $149 million of unclaimed funds were returned to Ohioans. That money comes from things like dormant bank accounts, uncashed checks, stocks and bonds, or unclaimed wages. And to help you find your money, the Ohio Division of Unclaimed Funds is releasing a tool that makes the process easier. Ohioans who want to claim their lost money are now able to search for unclaimed funds, upload required documents, and track your claim status, all on the Division's website. You can learn more on how to search and claim your money through a link on our website, 13abc.com.